Another day, another week, another episode.
Yeah.
Kevin, today is quite an important topic that we're going to cover because I think a lot of the students, they don't understand what the schools do in order to get better ranks. You know how at the end of the day, everyone sees, oh, this school's rank 1, this school's rank 2, and so on and so forth, right?
Yeah.
I feel like the students have, and the parents have the right to know what it comes down to when it comes to calculating their ranks. And how some of the schools are manipulating those situations. And I think it's important for the students to understand, especially in the schools that it's a bit dodgy, that the students know how to react when they are somewhat getting taken advantage of and being used to help the school gain better ranks.
Students benefit as well, or just the school's benefit?
So in some schools, they do it the right way, in which it benefits both the school and the student.
Yeah.
And other schools, it just benefits the schools.
Okay.
And those ones are the ones that I think the students need to really be wary of, you know? Like, should you participate in this exercise in which you're just benefiting the school? And there's certain schools in which they built in metrics that you have to help the school get ranks. And you have no choice, which is not good. I think the parents and the students of those schools need to complain, or they need to change schools if the school is stuck up in their ways, because I think it's starting to get a little bit out of hand. I want to start the conversation today to let the students know how schools are ranked.
It's based on how many band sixes the school received. That's why they do accelerated subjects, more of these memory-based subjects, to maximize how many band sixes they get so they can increase their ranks.
Yeah.
Some schools have a lot more students. Is it like a ratio of how many band sixes they get?
It is.
Okay.
For example, James Roost's North Sydney boys, they're usually around that 70% mark. In other words, 1,000 exams are being done. They will get 700 band sixes out of that 1,000.
Yeah.
And therefore the success rate would be 70%.
Makes sense.
Now, obviously, as we mentioned, what the schools do is they try to create opportunities to maximize the potential of band sixes. So what they do is they not only get the year 12s that already picked the subjects to sit the exam, but they try to accelerate some year 10s and year 11s to do exams for them as well, to get those extra ones. And they only usually allow the really smart ones to do it, because the really smart ones will guarantee a band 6, increasing that success rate. The schools that do it well are the schools that genuinely looking out for the students while at the same time trying to increase the success rate. So for example, as I mentioned, some schools in year 9, year 10, they allow the students to study the more humanities subjects that, although you could get a band 6 for that, but the ATAR equivalent might be still low. And remember how last week we talked a little bit about the conversion and how ATAR is calculated and whatnot, right? But just touching a little bit on that, it's, let's say for example, you get a band 6 in ancient history, you get 90%, right? After scaling. That will obviously add to the school success rate. But in terms of the ATAR equivalent for a 90% ancient history might only be like 95, 96 ATAR equivalent, which is not great for people that are trying to do med, right? Yeah. But then like, what would convince someone in James Roos to want to do that then? Do a subject like ancient history, right? Because if it's not going to get them 99.95, they're not interested. And also schools like Roos, they do agriculture. It's kind of like a compulsory subject in a way, because
they're
an agricultural school, right? But how they make it compulsory is kind of like you can accelerate it. It's a subject that they have to offer, and students can take it for the HC, but because they know that agriculture is on the lower scaling side, a year 12 student wouldn't want to do that subject, right? Because they're trying to get into med, they're trying to get into law, they need to get 99.6, 99.7. So to promote the students to do it, they'll let them sit in year 10 or in year 11. Even year 11 in some of these like selector schools, they feel like it's a little bit late. And the reason is because they can spend more time building fundamental skills on physics, chem, math, and English. So that in year 12, they have a better, more pleasant, less stressful experience, right? So therefore, a lot of these schools, they allow the students to pick it up in year 9. So for example, a year 9 student will learn year 11 agriculture. And in year 10, they will learn year 12 agriculture, and they sit the year 12 exam in year 10. But that's fair. I think that's good. You know why? Because year 9, year 10 kids are mucking around anyway. Do you know what I'm saying, right? And if they really get like a state rank in agriculture, and it does end up like, you know what I mean, they can use it in the HSC in 2 years' time. That's great. But even if that's, the 8 equivalent is still not good enough, at least they did help the school get a band 6 for that year, and they learned something. But obviously, even if you get a really good mark and it's still not good enough ATAR, it's not going to affect your final ATAR. Doesn't make sense. And then those same kids, when they go to year 11, year 12, they can still pick the 4 in maths, 3 physics, chem, English, you know what I mean? And then their ATARs are still going to be really good based on those higher scaling subjects. Some schools, they don't have the facilities, they don't have enough teachers, and they don't have enough classrooms to be able to do that. So a lot of the times then they only allow students to accelerate it for a year. A year 10 student would do the year 11 course, and then in year 11 they'll do year 12.
Okay.
That being said, a lot of these not as good ranked schools, they're taking inspiration from this, right? And they've come about it the wrong way. So I'm not going to name the schools, but I feel like the students, when I describe this scenario, the students that go to those schools, they will realize it's their school.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
I don't want to like name and shame these schools because I don't feel like, it's just my opinion at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So I don't have the right to call them out. I'm not supposed to be the person that has the right answer, right? But in my opinion, I think what they're doing is a little bit unethical, and they're not really considering the students' perspective. They only care too much about holding their ranks. Like there must be some incentive, right? Some metric that they're trying to achieve by convincing students to take these subjects earlier. Do you get what I'm saying? So that they can have a higher school rank, but the final ATAR, they don't care.
Yeah.
Of the student, they don't care. They just care that their school rank doesn't plummet. Doesn't make sense. So here's what they've been doing. Okay. In year 10, they'll round up the smart students in math, like the top 20, top 30, and they'll say, hey, you are smart, so we are going to give you the opportunity to accelerate maths. And then the students are like, oh, that's great. I can accelerate maths, I can start learning it earlier. Not realizing that they're only allowed to accelerate to 2-unit maths.
I think I know where this is going.
Okay?
Yeah.
So they're not allowed to do holistic math. They can only accelerate advanced mathematics.
Okay.
Okay? Now, before I continue, what is a regular student experience? A regular student, when they go into if they don't accelerate, right? In year 11, what do they learn?
They learn 3 maths and 2 maths
at the same time.
At the same time, yeah.
Okay? Why do they have to learn 3 and 2 at the same time? What happens in year 12 when they pick 4 in it? What happens?
They don't do 2 anymore.
They don't do 2 anymore. But why is it important for them to have done 2 and 3 at the same time in year 11?
In case they don't pick? No. Yeah, in case they don't pick 4 unit. But also 2 unit is assumed knowledge when you do like the higher maths courses. Let
me explain to you the process. This is how NESA has designed these courses. In year 11, when you do 2 and 3 net, you pick extension 1 maths, but realistically you're doing 2 subjects, right? You're doing advanced maths and you're doing extension maths.
Yeah.
When you get to year 12, the people that perform well in math and are already confident and interested in math, they can pick extension 2, 4 in maths, isn't it? When they do 4 in maths, they still learn extension 1, 3 in content, and they still learn advanced 2 in content. They still learn it. Doesn't make sense. It's just they don't sit the exam. They don't sit the advanced exam.
Yeah.
Because they expect the person that can do extension 2 to know the advanced stuff really well. Doesn't that make sense? So that there's no point in examining them that content.
Okay.
The main thing is the fundamentals and the foundation that you learn in year 11, extension 1 and advanced, play a big factor into when you do extension 2, isn't it? If you don't do the advanced calculus, you can't do extension calculus. But why do you have to learn that stuff? Because once you get to extension 2, that stuff is assumed knowledge so that they go straight into the hard stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
So therefore, you need to perfect the fundamentals because they just spend 3 terms in year 11 learning that stuff. So therefore, the whole point of year 11 is supposed to strengthen their fundamentals so that when they go into extension 2 in year 12 and the further year 12 extension 1 course, that they can handle that quite comfortably. What happens when the students are offered advanced maths to accelerate in year 10 is in year 10 they only learn advanced maths. But in year 11, they only learn the year 12 advanced maths. They don't learn the extension 1 year 11 content with the advanced maths. Does that make sense? So when they accelerate and they can only accelerate advanced, they don't have time to learn advanced and learn the extension 1 that they're supposed to know for year 12. Does that make sense?
Year 11, they don't
So in year 11, they only learn year 12 advanced in preparation for the HSC in year 11. So what ends up happening is they don't learn year 11 extension 1 further trig, year 11 extension 1 polynomials, year 11 extension 1 functions. They don't learn any of that. Doesn't make sense. You know what they focus on? They focus on year 12 advanced maths, which is like stats, you know what I mean? Continuous probability distribution.
Yeah.
Very basic integration. Series, they're very basic finance. Doesn't make sense. They don't learn any of the extension 1 stuff. So what ends up happening, right, is by the end of year 11, do you agree they sit the HSC? And mind you, they do really well. Okay? They get the band 6 for the school. Because not only are the year 12s sitting the HSC and getting them band 6s, but the year 11s that are really good at maths are sitting the HSC in year 11, only at advanced though, and they are able to help those students also. Those students are also able to help the school get band 6s. Doesn't make sense. Now, the first question you should ask is, if they're going to allow these students to accelerate maths, why don't they allow them to do extension 1 accelerated, right?
Yeah.
You know why?
they
Because
can't-
it's too much risk.
Yeah, they can't guarantee.
What
you band
happens
6.
if you do extension 1 in year 10, HC in year 11, and you don't get a band 6? The school just allocated a teacher, a classroom, to teach you the content in which you weren't able to reciprocate, do you know what I'm saying, a band 6. And a lot of students would do that. You know why? Because they all think, if I don't get a band 6 in year 11, I'll just sit it again. I'll just sit the exam again. Does that make sense? So a lot of students would actually pick extension 1 to do it accelerated. And even if they don't get a band 6 in year 11 when they sit the HC, they can sit it again in year 12. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Right? But the school doesn't want that.
Okay.
Because they're allocating a classroom, they're allocating a teacher to teach you. It's too much risk. They need a band 6 from the student. So what do they then do? They go, we only allow you to sit advanced. What that implies is because the content is easy enough for a year 11 to sit the HSC in year 12, a year 11 student to sit that year 12 HSC in year 11, it will almost guarantee that that student is going to get a band 6 for the school. Does that make sense?
Okay.
But what ends up happening is they don't learn the entire year 11 extension 1 content at all. Okay, so let's say, for example, you're the student, right? In year 11, you sat the advanced exam for the school. You got 93. You got a band 6 for the school, yeah? The school says, thank you, Kevin. But a 93 in advanced only gets an ATAR equivalent around what? 96, 97. Right? Is that good enough for you to get into med?
Definitely not.
Okay, so what are you going to do? You're going to pick extension 1, extension 2 to do in the HSC in year 12, isn't it? The problem is you didn't do any of the extension 1 content in year 11. What were you doing the entire year 11?
Advanced.
Yeah. Now you don't have 3 terms worth of practice of extension 1 content. They're going to try to teach it all the extension 1 content to you in 6 weeks and expect you to know that and apply that immediately in extension 2. Does that make sense? So they teach you 3 terms worth of stuff in 6 weeks while simultaneously teaching you extension 2 stuff at the same time. So let's say, for example, a student just learned double angles. He learned double angles today. Tomorrow he has to apply it in extension 2. He just learned binomial expansion, right? And instead of practicing it for a few terms, you know what I mean, and getting really good at it, and then in year 12, implementing those skills in extension 2, he needs to know it immediately tomorrow. What do you feel like the experience is then going to be? Do you think that student is going to do well in extension 2?
No.
Obviously not. Why not?
They just haven't done the foundation.
Enough, right?
Yeah.
They haven't done enough practice. They haven't gotten confident enough with the content. They haven't let enough time pass so that they've built those skills strong enough so that they can take on that extension 2 content very easily, very quickly, and be able to react fast. Do you agree with that assessment? Right? They just learned it yesterday. And today, they have to implement it in extension 2. Do you see the problem?
Yeah.
What ends up happening is those accelerated kids end up getting the same marks as the non-accelerated kids. Some of them get even worse. I've had a student, I remember, that's graduating this year, sits at the HC this year. He initially came to Prod in year 12, and he was shocked. What happened was, in year 10, the school proposed him to take the accelerated advanced course in year 10. And when he asked the school, oh, what content I'm going to be learning? They're like, oh, only advanced. So what he ended up doing was he signed up for advanced tutoring. Only advanced math tutoring. In year 10, he started the year 11 advanced math tutoring. In year 11, he was doing year 12 advanced math tutoring, not doing any extension 1, okay? Then, in the first assessment in year 12, it was on almost all of the extension 1 content that he was supposed to have learned in year 11, that he didn't learn. They were testing it all in the first assessment. But you know what the problem is? He hadn't learned any of that before. Not at school, not in tutoring. Because the tutoring he signed up for was advanced. He goes to tutoring, then he goes to the tutoring center they went to before. And he was like, oh, can you now teach me the extension 1 content that I missed in year 11? Because I was focusing so much on the year 12 advanced stuff. You know what that tutoring center said? It doesn't exist.
What do you mean?
We've already, if you wanted to do extension 1 tutoring, you should have started at the beginning of the year with all the other year 11s. But he was like, no, but I was focusing on year 12 tutoring, year 12 math advanced tutoring. That's why I didn't do extension 1 tutoring. But all the tutoring centers are like, well, there's no year 11 advanced tutoring now. Year 11 advanced tutoring starts next year with the new group of people.
Oh, I see.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So he was in a situation where he hadn't learned any year 11 content for 3NET, was tested on all of it in the first term, hadn't done a single minute. You know what the school teacher said? Oh, you guys should have already learned this stuff at tutoring anyway, so it's fine. We'll just fly through this. At that moment, the student realized he got scammed. He could have done year 11 extension 1 content in year 11, right? But he sacrificed that opportunity to do advanced content for year 12 to get the school at band 6. And the school just left him in the dirt.
But isn't that bad for the school because they won't get like the high? I guess it doesn't matter as long as they get a band 6 for extension 1.
Yeah. They don't care what ATAR you get.
They don't care if you got a 97 or 91.
Yeah.
It's still a band 6.
Exactly. They don't care what ATAR you get. You can get 9.95 or 90 ATAR. As long as you got band 6, that's what carries the school. The ATAR is your personal number. It has nothing to do with the school. You know what the school promised them? And this is the part that I'm annoyed with the most. The school said, if you guys do accelerated advanced in year 10 and do the year 12 advanced in year 11, when you get to year 12, we'll take care of you. While the regular students do year 12 3NET content, we will do year 11 3NET content with you guys to make up for the lost time. You will set a different exam to them.
Really?
Yeah, that's what they said. They said that you will sit a strictly year 11, do you get what I'm saying, exam. Year 11 3NET exam in the first term of year 12. And while the normal students that didn't accelerate, they sit the year 12 exam, do you know what I'm saying? And that year 12 exam obviously will have year 12 3NET content, year 12 2NET content, right? We will just go through year 11 content with you guys for the first term. Don't worry, we'll take care of you. When it came time, right? When year 12 term 1 came along, you know what the school said? Logistically, it's too hard. It's too much work to make 2 exams. It's too much work to do a class that just focuses on year 11 3NET stuff. So we are just going to get you to do the same as all the other non-accelerated kids. You're just gonna go. You're just gonna start with integration. And they're like, what? What about further trig? We didn't learn that yet. You promised us we'll go through it. What about functions? You promised us we'll go through it. What about polynomials? What happened to all those? And they're like, nah, sorry kids. We don't have enough capacity to be able to do that. All the teachers that were supposed to teach you that stuff now, they're going to scam more kids. Then the next year, you guys just go with the normal non-accelerated kids. You guys do the same exam. So they started off as accelerated. They ended up being worse off. Why? Because instead of spending 3 terms in year 11 learning advanced year 11 and extension 1 year 11, right? They were doing advanced year 12.
Yeah.
And now their fundamentals are stuffed. They can't do the year 12 extension 1 and they can't do year 12 extension 2 because they don't have any foundational skills.
But I feel like, wouldn't NESA like have a criteria where like you have to do the year 11 extension 1 in
the school says, yeah, no, we're doing it. Don't worry. And in reality,
they don't teach it.
They don't teach it. They don't have time to teach it. Those accelerated kids, 20 to 30 of them, they have to self-learn it basically. They have to self-learn all the extension 1 year 11 stuff by themselves in that term. Obviously, if they came tutoring at ProEd, right? We tell them, hey, I know you're doing advanced year 12 this year in year 11, but we don't care. We're still gonna be teaching you extension 1 year 11 content. Doesn't make sense. And the reason why we have to do that is because we're looking out for your future. We're looking out for your actual HSC at the end of year 12, where you have to do extension 1 HSC and extension 2 HSC. Without that 3 terms, do you know what I'm saying, of grinding and perfecting the extension 1 year 11 content, You can't handle the extension 1, extension 2, year 12 content. Doesn't make sense. This student that I was talking about, that student came to Pro Ed, struggled so much in the first term because what could he do? The only thing that could happen is you had to put him simultaneously in a year 11 class and a year 12 class, learning both year 11 and year 12 content at the same time. But who has the time and money for that?
They just stuffed him.
Yeah. For what? For a band 6.
Band 6.
Yeah. For the school that he's not even going to benefit from, especially if he's trying to get 99.7 to get into med or something. So, Mark, and you know what's the interesting thing, Kevin?
What?
Off the top of my head, I'm already thinking of 3 schools that are doing this. 3 schools that are doing this.
Higher ranking schools?
High ranking schools that are doing this. Top 10, top 15 schools.
3 of them.
3 of them do this. Yeah.
That's crazy.
There's a few like in the 20s and 30 ranks that are also doing it as well. You know why they're doing it? They want to save their ranks.
They want to copy the...
They want to copy the formula of getting more band 6s. And who ends up, you know what I mean, like losing out the most? Who ends up being affected negatively the most? The students themselves that they thought they were being taken care of. They thought they were the smart ones. Do you know what I'm saying? Doing accelerated.
Yeah.
But they were only offered accelerated advanced. If you want to allow the students to accelerate maths, at the very least, allocate the resources, allocate the times, allocate the teachers, you know what I mean? The classrooms, so that they can do extension 1 in year 10, right? That way, they can sit 2 math exams in year 11. If they don't do well enough in extension 1 in year 11, they can sit it again in year 12. You know what I mean? You're not missing out, right?
Yeah.
The school's not missing out, right? Because in year 12, they'll get them the band 6 again, the E4 again, right? But because they are selfish, you know what I mean? They're like, oh, we want more band 6s, but yet we don't have the capability. We don't have the resources. We don't have the teachers. We don't have the classrooms. We don't have the scheduling capability, you know what I mean? Of being able to look at multiple streams of classes.
Yeah.
They just scam these kids of time. I'm going to remember this kid forever. It pained me so much to see this kid struggle and I couldn't do anything. I couldn't help him. There's nothing I could do. You know why? Because what he needed was time. It wasn't that he was dumb, right? It wasn't that he wasn't good at maths. He was actually really good at maths. That's how he got the opportunity to do the accelerated, right? Here's one of his friends that came to Pro Ed in year 10. He was also doing accelerated. That's what he was doing. I remember the conversation I had with him in year 10, end of year 10. He's like, the schools, at the end of year 9, I think at the beginning of year 10.
The other kid, his friend.
The other kid, his friend that came to Pro Ed early. So he was a student at Pro Ed in year 9, year 10. He was like, oh, the school is offering me an opportunity to accelerate maths. And I was like, okay, that's great. Is it accelerated 2 unit or is it accelerated 3 unit? And like, oh, it's accelerated 2 unit. And I said, be careful. Be careful. The school's going to try to convince you to do it because they want you to get them band 6. But I don't know if that's going to help you. And if you do end up choosing it, at the very least, you must still do extension 1, 3 unit tutoring with us. Do you understand? And the kid was like, I understand. And at the very beginning, what we were doing at tutoring was different from what he was being tested on at school, right? And it was a bit hard. You know, sometimes students lose motivation because I'm learning this stuff and I'm not being examined on it. So he lost a little bit of, do you know what I'm saying, concentration, confidence, and discipline in terms of that. But he still made it through. And when he got to year 12, he was like, oh, lucky I learned that stuff. Even though I wasn't being tested at school, even though I forgot a lot about it, but I can recall it a lot faster because I don't have to learn it from scratch. But then his friend that he recommended to come to us because he was struggling, I couldn't help him.
It wasn't even his fault.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like the worst bit.
Right? And so many schools do this. The students aren't thinking about what repercussions is, how is this going to affect me for my HSC and my ATAR? They're not thinking about that. They're just being sold that they can accelerate and do it a year earlier.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. But that subject wasn't going to count towards your ATAR anyway. The subject that they asked you to waste time to study for in year 11, right? Where you could have been like honing your foundational skills for 3 unit. The subject they're asking you to sit for them isn't even a subject that's going to contribute towards your ATAR. Now there's one school out of this collection of schools that have been doing this for years. Okay, Kevin? They've been doing it for years, decades. Decades. Okay? Again, I'm not going to mention the school's name. I think this is the school that kind of started the whole thing. Okay? Now, let me explain to you why they decided to do this. In the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, their school had a good reputation balance between sports and academics. They were one of the few selective schools that were good in both areas. So they were a top 5 academic school, and they were competitive in sports with majority of the sports schools. Doesn't make sense, i.e. mostly private schools, you know what I mean. And they wanted to continue the trend. So this is what they did. In order for them to get the best talent, in other words, the best cross-country runners, the best sprinters, the best high jumpers, the best long jumpers, the best basketball players, the best volleyball players, etc., best rowers, right? What they would do is they would offer a placement into their selective school. Again, just so that the audience knows, selective schools are public schools, correct? They will offer them a placement in an academic selective school if you qualify to be talented in one of those sports that we compete against. One of my students got into this school, this supposed school, through cross country. He was a state runner. So he ran, for his age, he was state ranked for cross country. And this school, this selective school, said, hey, you can apply for our school. He later told me they actually planned to do it because they knew that school was offering placements from good sports. And he knew that if he spent all the time in academics versus all the time in cross country, he would gain a lot more in cross country than in academics. So they strategically put all the time in cross country. He came like top 10 in the state, you know what I mean, in cross country for that age group, made it into the school, and the school thought that he was going to run cross country for them. And the very next day, he dropped cross country after he made it into the school.
And just focus on his academics.
Yeah. But the problem was he wasn't smart as the academic people that were in the school. So he was always kind of like the bottom quartile, and which is a bit unfortunate. And he lost a lot of motivation, especially in year 11, year 12, because he just felt like no matter how hard he worked, he couldn't catch up to these kids. Fair enough. You know what I mean? But what I'm trying to say is, the point of our story, our topic today is he got into that school, do you know what I'm saying, through cross country. He's still going to take the HC, right? He's still going to contribute his subjects towards their school's success rate, right? Doesn't that mean that his academics is going to drag the school's rank down? Isn't it? So how's the school going to adjust and handle that situation? How is the school going to make up for the sports people in their school that are going to tank the HSC? How do they make up for that? Accelerated. That's right. So they look at the academic kids in year 10 and year 9 and year 10, and they go, all right, all the smart year 9 and year 10 kids, we want you guys to start preparing for the HSC. So some year 9s will take the HSC in year 10, some year 10s will take the HSC in year 11. Is that okay?
Okay.
Initially, it was good. They found the right balance, but they got greedy. What it means is they offered too many places for the sports people. So therefore, their rank started, you know what I mean, getting unstable. Before, they were always top 3, top 4.
Okay.
Then their rank started getting top 5, top 6, top 6, top 7. Does that make sense? So therefore, they were like, all right, change of plan. We don't know who the smart kids are anymore. Anyone could be a smart kid. So what we're going to do on top of the subjects like history and geography that we were allowed to accelerate in year 10 to sit in year 11, also in year 10, we're going to let every single person, also in year 11, in year 11, we're going to let every single student learn 2-unit, year 11 and year 12 2-unit in 1 year. So they don't accelerate the subject. So they don't learn in year 10. Does that make sense? So when year 11 starts, every single person is expected to sit the year 12 HSC at the end of year 11.
Year 12 HSC for advanced or?
For advanced,
Okay.
at the end of year 11. So they start in year 11, first term, and they start preparing for advanced year 11 and advanced year 12 stuff. So they learn 2 years worth of advanced content in 1 year. Does that make sense? Then what ends up happening is, at the trials, they'll evaluate and see who the competent kids are. Does that make sense? And the top 80 of those competent kids will sit the HSC.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Okay.
Will sit the HSC. And the kids that aren't competent, they'll just sit that HSC next year, in year 12 when they were supposed to anyway.
Because otherwise they'll drag it down.
Yeah, otherwise they'll drag it down. It's too much risk. Do you know what I'm saying? So they go, okay, only the top 80 people, you guys sit the HSC, the rest of you guys don't worry about it anymore. But they spent a whole year prepping, you get what I'm saying? But they don't know who's going to be the standout people. So those 80 smartest kids in year 11 will then sit with the year 12s of that year. Do you get what I'm saying? And they'll do advanced together. Does that make sense? So basically, you have 80 more people sitting the year 12 HSC. Do you get what I'm saying? Because those 80 are the 11 kids that will sit with the year 12 kids. That, you know what I mean? That didn't sit the year before, I guess.
Yeah, who
Does that make sense? Yeah, do you get what I'm saying? Now, okay, so then what happens is those 80 kids, they get band 6s. And you know what's going to happen? When they hit year 12, they're going to do extension 1 and extension 2. And then hopefully they'll get another 2 more band 6s. So out of those 80 smartest kids, right? They're able to get 3 math band 6s instead of the 2 that you're supposed to get. For example, you, Kevin, how many band 6s did you get for school for maths? How many band 6s?
2.
You got 2 band 6s for them, right?
Because I didn't do the advanced.
You didn't do the advanced. Why didn't you do the advanced?
Because I did extension 2.
In year 12.
In year 12.
When you do extension 2 in 12, you don't do advanced, right?
Yeah.
And the school knows that. So therefore, they force those 80 smartest kids to do the advanced in year 11.
They're just milking band 6s.
Exactly. But that's smart in a way, because that means I can get 80 more band 6s in year 11, and you're still going to get me the band 6s in year 12 for extension 1 and extension 2 anyway. Does that make sense? Might as well milk 80 more band 6s.
Okay.
Does that make sense? But what they didn't realize was the insurmountable damage that they will cause the students, especially the ones that aren't relying on tutoring. Actually, some of them, they still go to tutoring, but because they're not as disciplined. A lot of it is because the parents want them to go, kind of thing. You know what I mean? That they end up underperforming. So let me just break this down for you. Okay. At the end of term 3, year 11, not a single kid in that school has learned extension 1 content. They spent the entire 3 terms, sorry. They spent the entire 3 terms learning advanced year 11, year 12. Correct. Then everyone starts extension 1 content in first term year 12. Does that make sense? The problem with that is, do you agree a lot of the extension 1 content trickles into extension 2?
Yeah.
So how they combat that is they go, oh, in the first term in year 12,
No extension 2.
no extension 2. We only learn year 11 extension 1, and we learn it at a very, very accelerated fast pace. The goal is to cover almost all of the extension 1 content that you missed in year 11 in the first term of year 12. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So a regular student has 3 terms to cover that content. The students in that school have 1 term to cover that content. Okay?
Okay.
Then in year 12, term 2, they start extension 2. Can you see the flaw with that decision though? Because, okay, firstly, I understand where they're coming from. They need to know that extension 1, year 11 content before they can start extension 2 content, isn't it? But what's the downside?
Less time to do extension 2.
How many topics are there in extension 2? There's 5 main topics,
5,
right?
okay.
Complex, proofs, vectors, integration, and mechanics, right? In that school, by the trials, they only do 3 of the 5 topics. They end up only covering 60% of the HSC content in school. They only do complex, they only do integration, and they only do mechanics. They don't do 3D vectors, they don't do proofs. So in the year 12 trials, 2 months before the HSC, they only covered 60% of the content. And then after the trials, you know what they say? Everyone goes to tutoring, right? You would have already learned that 40% of stuff. You don't need to rely on us to teach you this. Their trials are actually also in week 4, week 5, and week 6. They're later than normal schools. After the trials, they only have 7, 8, 9, and 10. They have 4 weeks left to learn 2 topics, to learn 40% of the content in 4 weeks.
And by that time, everyone's like looking forward to graduation.
Yeah, exactly. How stuffed up is that, right? Because the school just assumes that you would have done tutoring. Does that make sense? That like all the kids in school do tutoring anyway. Why do we need to care? Doesn't make sense.
I think that's very common among selective schools though, especially for like the maths and chem subjects. They just put a lot less effort into it because they just assume everyone goes tutoring.
It's actually insane if you think about it, right? But especially for this school.
Yeah.
You know why? Because it's one thing to assume that the tutors are going to do a better job so they can relax a little bit. There's another issue where you don't even give them time to learn it.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay, you don't need to teach me, okay, but at least give me 4 months, do you know what I'm saying, to learn the 40% of the content. Isn't it? Not 4 weeks, let's give me 4 months. And I'll tell you what the problem is, Kevin, okay? I'll tell you why it came down to this.
Is this like what they're doing now?
This is what they're doing today, right now, at this moment.
Okay.
I have students in my classes right now that haven't started falling it in school yet. and they're going to start next term. It's happening right now as we speak, okay?
Okay.
Now, I'll tell you, before that school doing these kind of shady kind of like gimmicks, right?
Yeah.
They were still able to stay in top 10 rank. But since the new syllabus, even with this shady program, they've fallen out of top 10, okay? They've fallen outside of top 10 rank.
New syllabus was like 2017, 2018.
2020,
Oh,
okay?
okay.
But because of the new syllabus, the two topics that they don't teach, which is mechanics and proofs, they're new topics. They weren't in the syllabus. They weren't in the old syllabus, right? Before, at the very least, because those teachers have been teaching the old syllabus for like 20 years, they knew the content. So even if they didn't get it by the trials, they still had the resources, they still had the knowledge. Does that make sense? But because of the new syllabus, they had to relearn the new topics because they didn't know anything about it. They don't know how to teach it properly. They don't understand it. So therefore, what do, Kevin? They just go, let's just pretend that they don't exist. They're still using the same resources. They're still testing the same content that was from the old syllabus. Those are the only content that they're testing.
Proofs and
vectors are in the new syllabus.
And they leave that out.
And they leave it out because they can't be bothered.
That's crazy. How can you be a teacher and you can't even be bothered to teach?
Yeah. It's actually insane if you think about it, right? Because I think like as a school, as a teacher, right? As an organizer, as a principal, isn't your number one job to empower the students, to look out for the students? But instead, it's all been about getting more band sixes to hold their school rank up. For what? For what?
It's not even like holding up.
Right? But there must be something going on. Otherwise, why do they value, right? Why do they value getting band sixes so much? To a point where they can ruin a kid's life. Is potentially, right? Because if you're wasting 9 months of their life, 9 crucial months, do you know what I'm saying? That they can get ahead, they can have confidence, and they can have a great, less stressful time studying for the HSC, right? Instead, what's going on? Anxiety, not learning topics. Do you get what I'm saying? Right? Not getting the support. Assuming that you already know the stuff for a couple of band sixes.
Crazy.
Yeah. So I think the message I want to get out to the students today is be careful of the school's intentions. When they tell you to accelerate a subject, the only situation in which I think you should accelerate a subject is number one, you're accelerating in year 9 and year 10 because you genuinely want to learn a skill and you're interested in a subject that might not get you a good ATAR, right? Mm-hmm. But if they're allowing you to do it earlier in your school situation, right? Yeah, have fun. Do the best you can, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Have fun learning geography. Geography is interesting. It's not a high scaling subject, could affect your dreams of becoming a doctor, but you're still interested in geography, or you're still interested in ancient history or whatever, right? Do the subject, get the score band 6 in year 10 or year 11, and then year 12, lock in, right? Lock in. Do the actual subjects that's going to, you know what I mean, matter towards your HSC, matter towards your ATAR, right? Or, if you want to do these subjects like math accelerated, only do it if it's extension 1 accelerated.
With advanced.
Yeah, advanced and extension 1 accelerated together. If they just offer you advanced accelerated, don't do it. Because the whole purpose of year 11 is to build a foundation in advanced and extension 1 so that you can take extension 2 in year 12, right? To make you do well, allow you to do well in extension 2, 4 in year 12. Does that make sense, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not worth it. And if your school tells you to do it, and they're like, oh, you're one of the top 10 kids or top 5 kids and you should do it, just go, no, thank you. Thanks for offering, but no thanks. I'm actually looking out for my own personal well-being and my, you know what I mean? I want a great time. I want a sustainable, well thought out, well spread out HSC journey. I don't want to learn all the year 11 content that I missed out on in one term. I don't want to start extension 2 one term behind everyone else. That is my competition. I'm competing against those people in the HSC. I'm learning in one term after them, you know? Yeah. I'm learning 3 terms worth of stuff in one term. For what? To get the score band 6, right? Is it worth it? Is it worth sacrificing your HSC, Kevin, to get your score band 6?
Personally, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think so. Yeah. Selfishly, I don't think so, right? But everyone should be selfish because you're living your own life, right? Shouldn't you look out for yourself? You should be the number one priority, right? Yeah, so I don't recommend it. All we can do is we can empower the students and the parents and make sure that they're aware of what's going on. You know what I mean? Maybe change schools. Maybe don't try to apply for the schools. Do some research, everyone. Do some research, you know what I mean? Don't apply for those schools that, you know what I mean, have their needs over your own children's needs, over your own if the students are watching, over your own personal needs, you know what I mean? And over your own personal ATAR, HSC results, right?
And your own well-being.
Yeah. And for the parents that do go to these, for the parents of students that do go to those schools, yeah? And I'm pretty sure you guys will be able to find out which schools they are. Or you guys can message us privately, maybe we'll tell them, okay? I think the parents should petition, you know what I mean? The parents should sign a petition to force the change. Or just hurting the kids. Yeah, so I just wanted to bring awareness to the parents and the students today about this. Some of your schools are doing this stuff and you need to know what's going on. Parents don't understand. Students should follow the program, right? Yeah, so think twice. Get some advice. Ask your mentors, you know what I mean? Like, is it in your best interest to do it? And if you do decide to do it, at least, you know, find the tutoring that's going to, you know what I mean, still prep you for your overall HSC. Some of these kids could have done so much better if they didn't do accelerated. They just did like the normal program, how it was intended, how it was designed.
Yeah.
It's not worth it, in my opinion. It's not worth it.
Definitely not worth it.
Yeah, anyway, that's the episode that I wanted to record today. I just want to get the message out there as quickly as possible, you know? Like, I think the earlier the students hear of this, the faster they can react. They can make adjustments, you know what I mean? Like, I actually wouldn't even fault students dropping out of that school and going to maybe their local school. They might even be put in a better position if the school forces you to do this accelerated, advanced nonsense, right? And if the student's confident, just go to your local school, I reckon, right? Go to your local school, get a rank 1, you know what I mean? And just do well, yeah. And not like fall victim to this game that they're playing, yeah.